Let's now get more analysis from attorney Peter Kolb. He's a former Brooklyn prosecutor who also served as Assistant Attorney General of New York. Peter, good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
And Peter, you heard Dan say it, other people echoing the sentiment that the charges against Manafort, they were activities conducted before he had anything to do with the Trump campaign, and that this is a way to use him as leverage, to get him to squeal, to put pressure on him for him to reveal something or to come up with something. What do you think?
This is absolutely what I used to do as a prosecutor. You go after somebody along the chain and get them to do what we call flipping, which is testifying against others. But keep in mind, at any time Trump could wash away these federal charges, but there still are possibilities for New York state charges. So what the prosecutors are trying to do right now is attack Manafort with indictments on these charges, hiding money, and go from there.
Well, if you look at what Manafort's lawyer said today, he said that they're using a novel theory, the FARA file. That's the foreign agent registration. He says that the U.S. government has used that offense just 6 times since 1966, and that it only resulted in 1 conviction. What is the point that he's trying to make there?
I think the point he's trying to make is that it's a rare, novel idea, but that doesn't mean that it's not a law on the books. You know, fortune telling is also a law on the books that we don't prosecute. But what he's going at,
fortune telling's illegal?
Yes.
All right, I learned something new today.
Little known fact, but it's never prosecuted. But that when I saw his sort of statement, that doesn't mean that it's not a federal crime. He's just saying it's a novel one. It's still on the books. You can still go after somebody, and he's been indicted.
Well, Sarah Huckabee Sanders and President Trump saying that this has got nothing to do with the Trump campaign. What do you make of that?
They're correct technically.
Right.
There's no collusion with Manafort and Gates. The other interesting one is Papadopoulos,
right,
which is the collusion aspect. It's not an allegation anymore. He pled guilty to lying to the FBI about this Russian contact. And if you look closely in his emails, it says he ran it up the chain. He ran it by other campaign officials to see what they said. And they came back to him and said, we need to keep DT out of this, not to signal anything.
Peter, I get that lying to the FBI. Obviously, that's a big problem. But the meeting looking for dirt on Hillary Clinton, opposition research, if you will, is that different from what the Clinton campaign and the DNC did when they partly funded the Fusion GPS anti-Trump dossier? Are those two the same?
I mean, it's one thing to look for dirt. It's another thing for Russia to come to you knowing that you're a Trump official.
Right.
And using you as leverage and saying, can you get us a meeting, to the idea being affect possibly bills or change things that would benefit Russia. And that's what we're going at. That's the collusion.
So when you look at how this is now spread to Tony Podesta, the founder of the Podesta Group, the brother of the former Hillary Clinton campaign chairman, John Podesta, he's now resigning from his lobbying group because he's also under investigation. What do you make of that?
It seems like the cards are starting to tumble. You know, I think that what the Trump campaign wants to say is no collusion, no collusion,
right,
no collusion. But what's happening is Manafort, if he testifies or he says, I'll cooperate and get you other people, that's what they're looking at. Podesta could be the next one. So while there's no collusion now, they have the pieces in place. This is like a great director with a movie. Put the pieces in place to get to the ending.
And Peter, what do you make of the timing of this announcement? Calls were getting louder and louder last week for Mueller to resign, saying that there's a conflict of interest with the Uranium One deal surfacing, that he was the head of the FBI when that took place. He was the head of the FBI when that corruption probe into Russian companies took place. Also, the Fusion GPS situation, that may have been part of what's triggered this whole investigation. Do you think that there could be a potential conflict of interest for Mueller here?
I think there is. I don't see it quite yet at this point. I mean, I thought it was interesting that they timed the Manafort and the Gates announcement and unsealing at the same time that they announced Papadopoulos, and that's clearly collusion. And they may be trying to mix in people's minds. So I don't know if Podesta is involved in that, and we'll see as the details come out.
But the Papadopoulos revelation, that was something that they knew a while ago. And that only came to light today.
Correct.
So was that the thinking perhaps to, okay, there's not much on Manafort, he's the bigger name, but there is something here with Papadopoulos?
Correct. I think that's part of, that's outside of the legal, it's more the PR aspect to it, to sort of blend these two things and merge them. Whether the two are connected, we'll find out.
Peter, very quickly, Ellen Dershowitz is just saying that this is something that should be done in the open, that this would have more credibility if this is done as an open investigation. What do you think about that?
Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
All right, I like that. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. Peter Kolb, former Assistant Attorney General of New York, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, tonight, two top cabinet members are on Capitol Hill. Defense Secretary J. Matzin.